Usually on Sundays, the first reading and the gospel reading have a theme that connects the two. And today, one of the themes that's kind of a unifying theme, I find, is the theme of ownership when it comes to the vineyard. Who owns the vineyard? And the answer, as we know from Scripture, is God, is the owner of the vineyard. It can be easy to confuse being a tenant or steward or owner of the vineyard, especially in our society, of a capitalistic society, where we tend to buy and own what we have. But the ownership we have of whatever we own is really only a temporary ownership as long as we're here. So in a very real sense, even though we own it, it's still only leased to us, and we're still stewards of these goods. God gives Israel, his people, you and me, the privilege of caring for his vineyard. That means each other and the world we live in. We don't own it. It is leased to us as stewards. And sometimes we live with the illusion, some people do, that we are the owners. It's all ours. And when we live with that kind of a mindset, then it basically puts God out of the picture. And then what happens is I or someone becomes the center, God, instead of God. But when we come to terms with God as the owner of the vineyard and we as stewards, then we can begin to grow and mature in the fundamental and vital attitude of a Christian: gratefulness, gratitude to God for all that he has given us and entrusted to us as stewards. When we are grateful for what we have and what is around us and for God, then we are no longer the center. God becomes, once again, the center of our lives. And God took a big risk when he shared with us a gift that helps to make us in his image and likeness, the gift of free will. And in giving us that very unique, special gift, he trusts that we will use that gift for the good of each other and to care for this world. As we read the gospel this morning, as I reread it, I noticed a very interesting note. That even though things go wrong in the vineyard, in the world, there's no mention of destroying the vineyard, but rather God will continue to reach out to lease it to new tenants. Someone will take care of this vineyard for him. God is not going to give up, in other words, on his investment in humanity. He will forgive, and he will keep trying to renew, reestablish the relationship of love with us, even after our failures and maybe even our rejections of God at times. He will never give up on us. How hopeful that is for all of us, because there are times when we feel we are hopeless in the eyes of God. We are never hopeless in the eyes of God. And so the gospel asks us to refocus this morning on our loving God as the true owner of the vineyard, and on ourselves as grateful tenants of this vineyard. Over my many years of priesthood, as you can tell, I have witnessed many people who have come to grips finally in their lives with God as the owner and themselves as stewards, and the whole idea of gratefulness for all they have and for all that is around us. And they came to grips with that because they were coming face to face with the reality of death in their lives. And that created in them an opportunity to dig deep and to reflect on God and life in their heart and soul in a way they had not done before, or maybe hadn't allowed themselves to do that before. Interesting how death has a way of putting God, life, love, and gratefulness into a whole new perspective in life. Sometimes we put off this kind of thinking and reflection because death is so far away. But then all of a sudden, it's on the doorstep, and we have a choice. May the Lord of the Eucharist, whom we will receive again today in communion, may he give us the wisdom and the humility to be good stewards of all that he has entrusted to us in this vineyard, beginning with the very special gift of ourselves.